Hello, everyone. My name is Percy number 6, and I'm here yet again with another episode of Percy's Ever Present Past. This time, I'm with one of the oldest members still in the community, HiroTheJapaneseTrain, Matt. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Happy to have you on here.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of people that have been around for a long time within this community and are still active, so I'm happy to have someone like you on here.
yeah. It's good to be on. Honestly, it doesn't feel as long as when I hear other people talk about how long I've been around.
hmm I
It just feels par for the course at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same for me because I came on in 2008, so it's been a long time. Ugh.
Definitely.
So let's get to you. What was the community like when you joined?
Well, so I remember when the TWRC was first created.
hmm
So I was around basically before there was a community specifically for Thomas Wooden Railway folks.
hmm
And like it's just funny being in the community, hearing people talk about the TWRC, like the origins as if they were there. But back then, it was basically for people that made wooden railway videos. There was this sort of negative atmosphere in that there were people that got judged just for the brand of toy that they made their videos with. It didn't help that there was a sort of noobish aspect to the Thomas Wooden Railway community back then, but basically there was a lot of petty conflict, and when the community was created, I just remember it being like a really small group of people. I'd really only talk to people in my YouTube, like in the channel, on your channel where you can talk to people on your channel page. That's how I'd talk to people, and it was only like 3 people.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what the community was. It was created from it was created from like biases within the fandom, and then just people who were making wooden railway videos saw. I guess they see that there's a group of people that had their own group where they did these sorts of things. So I guess they just figured, well, I may as well associate with these folks.
Yeah.
Kind of stuck.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I remember those early days and
Yeah.
back before there was Twitter, so you used like the YouTube message to communicate with others and the
Oh
old
yeah,
stream
yeah.
feature. Like it was a different time back then.
And like I barely talked to anyone up until 2014.
hmm
Like before then, I I didn't like socialize with anybody on a somewhat regular basis. I wasn't hip to Skype. I wasn't hip to Twitter and all that.
Yeah.
But everybody knew me, and that was the weird part of it.
Well, I remember your videos back 2008, 9. I remember your MT Willman account. Uh,
Oh jeez, yeah.
I liked it. I liked because I always liked how your videos were. You'd introduce the new characters that you bought. Like I know you did that with like Stanley and others.
Stanley was the first one of those that I did. My the funniest part about that account is that everybody got it wrong. To this day, people still get the pronunciation wrong. It's literally just M and my last name,
hmm
and everyone's like MT William. Like, I just didn't see it as difficult to pronounce as many other people saw it out to be. But I don't know. It's just interesting how I if I was asked why I created my channel, I probably can't even deliver a straight answer to that. It's probably just something where I was like, oh, here's a camera that my mom gave me access to,
hmm
and here's some Thomas stuff.
I mean, yeah, you've been around a long time. What year did you publish your first video?
Okay, so I made my first videos technically in 2006,
hmm
but I got rid of them.
Oh,
And they're somewhere on my old laptop, but it would my old laptop is basically the laptop equivalent of that old woman from SpongeBob the chocolate episode, the one in the
Yes.
wheelchair.
Yes.
So to navigate around that would be just a massive chore. But if I ever find the videos, I'll probably publish them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's like the same with me too, because I deleted 2009. I deleted all my old videos, and we don't use the computer that they were on anymore, and I didn't save them anywhere else, so they're
Yeah.
lost in history now.
The only reason M12 still exists is because I can't access it. Like
Oh,
I can't actually log into the account.
oh man. So is that why you
That's the
originally
only reason why I use this account.
that's why you made Hero the Japanese Train in the first place?
Yeah, it was just supposed to be some lowly backup. I wasn't even intending on publishing videos on this channel until what was it? It was like 2010 rolled around, and that was when Google turned over, or that's when YouTube and Google made their merger or whatever
Yeah.
it was. And when that happened, like non-Google connected accounts just couldn't be accessed, and I happened to be one of those. I had here's a real sign of the times. It was an AIM email
Uh-huh.
that it was associated with, so
Oh, that's
I can't access it. But at the same time, I think that's for its own good, or else I probably would have deleted the channel.
funny. Oh, that's true. I mean, yeah, I remember it used to be you could have multiple accounts hooked up to one email,
Right?
and
Yeah.
then they got rid of that, and it used to be you could also open up closed accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's the only reason I still have Percy number 6.
And like the funniest part is Hero isn't even my favorite character. Like I have no business being Hero the Japanese Train, which I've actually considered multiple times, especially recently, changing the account, like changing the name.
Yeah.
Like, for one thing, the only reason it's not Hero the Japanese Engine is because this was back when YouTube had like limits on the name length, and it would cut off at like the I or something like that. So I wasn't going to be Hero the Japanese NG.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's just all of my account's roots are still very much like prevalent. And it's basically I'm having this situation where I'm caught between modernizing and keeping it as is, keeping some of that old 2008, 2009 stuff going.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's been a long time. It's crazy. Like okay, so like you've been around a long time. So what were some of your favorite users that you like to watch who aren't around anymore?
Who aren't around? Let's see. I was about to say Ted, but he came back.
That's true.
Funny thing is, he came around he came around like the only year that I wasn't wholly active. But in terms of other users, let's see. Tom Dublin.
Oh yes.
Let's see. Damien. Trains are cool too. Arbo Phil. And then I also used some non-TWRC accounts. I watched, what's his name? Train Lover 476 and Moab and those folks. And, yeah, like, even before joining, like, any sort of, even before I joined YouTube, I was, looking at forums. I remember when Sif was first created. I was only 6 years old, and for some reason my mom gave me computer access, but I remember when Sif was created in 04.
Oh wow. I don't remember that myself. Wow.
So like it's just that sort of I was looking at a lot of forums from people, Zero Red and Origami Air Enforcer.
Oh yes.
Yeah, like going way back. But yeah. So I remember a lot of the old people, older users, but I never. The thing is, I never talked to them.
You did.
I'm listing all these people, but the most conversation I can ever think of having with some of them. Well, actually, there were two people that I did talk to from time to time, relatively with some frequency, and that was James's 5. I don't even. Most people probably don't even remember him,
Yeah, I know. I,
um, but him, there's just one other person. They were like a Tugs fan account or something, and I talked to them a little
wi-
bit.
not is it 10 cents a one? That's the only one I can think of.
Well, yeah, him. I wasn't even like referring to him, but yeah, I did watch his stuff.
Hmm.
Um, nah, his name was like number one Star Tug fan. It was he's again probably a very obscure account no one knows about.
Hmm. Oh well.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I remember a lot of those names, like, Arbor Phil, which he had a username like you too, where you didn't understand it, but then when you found out, oh, that's just his name, it's like, oh, that makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But like him and like, yeah, I do remember talking to James as five. I talked to him a good amount before he called it quits. But
Hmm.
it's a lot different how YouTube was back then versus what it's
Oh,
like now.
definitely. And if
Um,
you're talking about channel layouts, the channel layouts were a lot better.
hmm. Oh,
Oh, and
definitely.
one more, like as the people who I do who are still in the community. I mean, Eric Pierre was
Hmm.
probably the first person that is still around that I talked to with any sort of relative frequency. He and I talked a lot on my channel comments and stuff.
Oh,
I bet you if I go back there, I'll probably find our old messages from like 2010 and
that's
all that.
pretty cool.
That was fun.
Took me a few years to find Eric. I mean, it probably was like 2012 or 13, I'd say, when I found him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got good content. He's good. He's been
Mm,
around a while too, though.
yeah.
I think 2000.
A lot of the users have my key great.
Hmm.
I watched his videos a lot. I commented on a few of them.
Okay.
If you guys see any comments from M12 with a picture of a sop with camel as the profile picture, then you'll know that's me. I sound like the biggest noob ever on those frickin' comments, but that's all me.
That's funny. Yeah, there there are a lot of good ones, and so I need to ask you about this. This is one of the things you're most well known for, your customs. How did you start doing them? And I mean, you've got some of the best customs within the community, I'd say. So, yeah, just tell me about your customs.
Okay, so this was they weren't even something I intended on like gaining any sort of notoriety for, but if you like in the way back when I was like 6 or 7, I got those unpainted trucks,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through quite a lot of those, just painting them up and all that. But then I didn't even like touch customs for a while.
Oh.
Other than I know I drew a few buffers on some of my engines and whatnot, but after that, 2014 was really when I was getting into customs because I got this lot that came with some really bad condition items, and I
Mm-hmm.
figured, well, I'll make that into a Culti Fell engine, and that ended up being my first custom of Patrick.
Okay.
It was an orange Culti with
Yeah,
it was really messed up. So the
yeah, I
previous owner like
remember.
painted all over. There was glitter on it, so
Yeah, I remember seeing that on Twitter.
yeah, that was that was my first like true custom,
Yeah.
and then the Adventure Begins came out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I wanted to make LBSC Thomas and Glynn because they weren't making one in the Wooden Railway.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
basically, most of my customs have just been a result of them not being released in the Wooden Railway and me just kind of being frustrated that they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like I just basically would sit there and make customs. Just almost, at first it was kind of interesting just because I hadn't done them, but then it just kind of became habit, and then the more people liked them, the more I continued to do them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I guess that like I really took off in terms of customs popularity when I started making those Great Race ones.
Oh
Because
yes.
before that, people like I mean I had the hashtag and everything, but I wasn't really as serious. And then I don't know that I guess I just have a knack for it.
Yeah, they're really good, I'd say, and you've done plenty, and I've seen the improvement, and they look fantastic, really.
Yeah, and recently I'm starting to do commissions. I have about two or three that I'm doing for people
Oh,
at the
that's
moment.
good. That's really good.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm waiting on one of them to arrive. Like with all the materials, it's from
Hmm.
Enterprising, and I'm doing another one for a guy named Smudger Wooden something or other.
Okay.
Forget the full name, but yeah,
Oh, that's.
just some just a just a shameless plug there.
Hey, worth it. Yeah.
I do commissions if people want customs done.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you, well, I know like Ted always tells me how you just destroy the faces of the engines because you have to remove them and put them on other ones. But are you gonna try that new style you probably saw? That one new user, William something.
Oh yeah, William Poloteski. I noticed him quite relatively fair early on.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched any of his newer customs videos, but basically, from what I saw, what he had done so far, I've only seen like three or four of his videos,
Mm-hmm.
but they're really good.
Yeah.
Does he have like a different method of removing faces or something?
He did it where if I remember it correctly, he takes the clay, puts it over the face, and then heats it up,
Uh, okay,
and
like
then
he makes molds.
yep, he molds them. Which he did.
Oh,
He showed the example with some troublesome trucks he was doing.
okay. Well, like I'll have to see that, but my method is basically I just kind of go Louis the 16th on mine.
Yeah, just
And what really astonished me is that like it just that's something that just came natural to me when I
mhm,
was trying to figure out. It happened when I was making the Glen custom, and I was trying to figure out like, well, I don't want to put a 2D face on this,
yeah.
and so I was like, well, there's I just happened to like look over my shoulder and I saw Thumper, and I'm like, well, I'll just cut off the face or something. I'll see how I can do that.
Hmm.
And now to this day, I'm still getting like questions from people asking me how I take off the faces on my customs, and I'm gonna make a tutorial video on that before I go back while I'm working on these
Hmm.
customs that
That's
I have
cool.
right now because it's just something I didn't think people would need a tutorial on.
Yeah, I've never done it before, but from what I see, it seems like it's surprisingly easy to do.
It's easy depending on the model that you use. Like Mattels are a lot harder to get the face off of.
Okay.
But like if you take an earlier learning curve one, or even like a later learning curve one, you'll be fine. It doesn't take that much effort.
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Well, before we finish off, I'm gonna get one more question for you.
Hmm.
So I like we've said, you've been around for a while. So nowadays in the community, what's it like? What's it different? How much like compared to when you first joined? How do you enjoy it from then versus to how you enjoy it now?
Well, basically, the number one thing that is different today than back then
Hmm.
is communication.
Hmm.
Coming from somebody that didn't talk to anybody until 3 years ago,
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest change that I've noticed is because I honestly I wouldn't be half as um, social if it wasn't for Lego Lover 117, who
Hmm.
basically found me on YouTube comments and just got my Skype, and then it was a domino effect from there. I just gradually joined on different social media accounts and
Hmm.
got involved and everything like that. And that's the most different
Yeah.
part of the TWRC today, and also just the size of it. And if I was asked honestly, I don't think there's as much of a need for TWRC as there was in like 2006,
Hmm.
2007, 2008, when people were actively getting like judged for using Thomas Wooden Railway in their
Yeah.
videos. There's not as much of a need for it now, but I kind of like that it's stuck.
Yeah.
It's just it's a sort of identity
Hmm.
that sets you apart, and I feel like in the TWRC today, the biggest thing is just we need to run. We need to be wary of that and run, because we do run the risk of being a little bit judging ourselves.
Yeah.
I've noticed, out of not all people, but there's a certain aspect of it that, like, once you get established, you tend to look down on other people.
Hmm.
But that's one part of a whole package that I really like about what we have today.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a lot bigger. People are more ambitious. People are trying different things, new things, and we're sort of learning from each other.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I much prefer today's Thomas Wooden Railway community than in the past. But that's just because we have a bit more of an enterprise. It was a bit more wholesome back then, but
Hmm.
these days it feels like a bit more of a community
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah.
that we're bigger.
Yeah, I'd say, there's a lot more people, so it's easier to find people you like, and for the newer people, it's easier to find other new people to talk with.
Totally, yeah.
Hmm.
And I mean, I wouldn't be as far along in CWRC if it wasn't for people like Roman and Train King James and Ted and just all the people that in Multi and Master of the Lemons and just people that I talk to on a regular basis.
Hmm.
Because I'd say for anybody getting into the TWRC, the most important thing that they should do is reach out, but not in like the noobish fanboy way, but like
Hmm.
just say, hey, nice video, or stuff like that. It gets people, it gets people a much farther way than they think,
Yeah.
because when you leave those comments, it's not like we're PewDiePie or
Hmm.
Markiplier. We're not this huge account that like ignores every comment. Even if we don't respond to them, we see what you're saying,
Yeah.
and I feel like to join the TWRC, you don't need as much as you did back then.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of feels like it, you basically just need to bring something to the table that doesn't color you as a noob, and that's pretty much all it takes.
Yeah. I'd agree. I'd agree. It's a great time for the community right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm really happy to have had you on.
definitely. Yeah, it was
Is
great. It was great reminiscing.
Yes. Oh, it's always fun too. Is there any are there any links you would like me to let the audience know of?
Well, just my channel. And I'll just take this moment to plug Friedrich the German Engine, because that's my focus right now. But
Hmm. Great
uh,
series. Great series.
just my channel. Everybody can find everything there.
Yep.
Hmm.
Channel. I'll put your channel and Twitter in the description.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you for coming on here.
Definitely, yeah.
I don't have too much else left to say, so with that being said, it's Percy number 6. I'm out. Thank you all for listening today.
See you guys.